Hello there, sorry from 17 once again. This is a channel update that is long overdue on a channel that hasn't had one in quite some time, folks. So I do apologise about not being able to get the updates up as reliably as I would like to. I have absolutely no excuse. You know, life happens, stuff happens, you get lazy, sometimes you don't. It's all up in the air, and I've been able to sit down at the moment and crank this out. So let's just push forward to all the things I should have been talking about and letting you kind folk know, but I just haven't, you know. Before we get into that, I need to talk Patreon, because it is a feature of my channel that helps fund everything that I do and bring content to you on a regular basis. And I don't talk about it too much, even though there's a link to it and things like that. But in these updates, I like to go over it just to keep people updated and just to introduce new people to it if that's an avenue that they would like to look down. The first thing I'm going to say about my Patreon is they changed how a lot of things work on it at the moment, and previously when you had people pledge to you, if those pledges didn't go through, it would still be added to the overall amount. It seems that they've tweaked that now, so overnight I had a significant drop on it, and a bunch of people either stopped, you know, submitting to it or whatever, or just got discontinued because of performance and what have you. But there was a significant change overnight, and I didn't get any messages from anybody. I didn't get anybody telling me, you know, if anything was wrong or if there was any problems. So I think it's just the way that the site updates. But it took a bit of a hit, and it's that moment where you question yourself, like, did I do something wrong? But I don't think it's that. I just think it's the way that the interface now works. So it's a little bit more honest to the kind of numbers that it would be pulling in. And if you were part of those numbers that have been reduced, if it's intentional, if it's you had absolutely no idea about it, my advice is to just double check your settings and things. And I know it's a nightmare because I really don't like the interface of Patreon. They have changed it to make it a little bit better, but it still takes far too many clicks to get to places, and places don't go where you think they would go, so you have to go into strange areas to get the information you're looking for. And I say this all the time, guys, you don't have to do this for me. It's for the people that want to. And that's what makes it so humbling and so amazing, that there are people that will actively support this channel, even though I'm just this disembodied voice on the internet that they've come to enjoy. And it's a very strange relationship, but it's an amazing one as well, because it allows me to do so much more. And the people who, you know, can't afford it anymore, or want to stop, or whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter what the reason is. The fact that these people have been kind enough to even begin doing this is amazing enough. If it has to stop, stop it. That's how I've always kind of presented this relationship. As much as I would love to say to you, like, everybody give me all this money and never stop, that's just silly, you know. It's this thing where we all know bills come in, we all know certain months are more expensive than others. Your money fluctuates, and you don't want to be giving it to some random English bloke on the internet if you need it for something else, and I can completely understand that and 100% support it. So never feel like you're obligated or guilted or any of that kind of stuff, guys. The fact that anybody takes the time to help support me is absolutely amazing, because you don't have to, and that's what makes it so beautiful. So cancel them damn claims if it's too much for you guys. Don't feel any obligation, and just double check your things if you have no idea what's going on, because as I mentioned, I tried to email a bunch of people whose pledges were failing, and I just wanted to double check that there wasn't any problems on their end and that they weren't having any hassle with the bank, because I worked in a call centre for about 2 years, and I dealt with a lot of people who had things bounce and the banks fined them and they got into a spot of bother. So it's never a fun thing to be fined by something that's pretty ridiculous, but it happens, so you need to try and stay on top of that. But that's all the technical stuff aside. Let's go into the more personalised stuff. So I'm going to reel out a list of names that I've got here of people who have pledged since the last time I did an update, and of some people who have put forward some funding towards the Empire, as I call it. And instead of thanking them all individually, which can get quite, you know, long and protracted, I'm going to go through the names and I'm going to thank afterwards. So in no particular order of importance or anything like that, we have Jammer Guile, or Guile, as DSP would say. I'm not going to do surnames as well for the people who only have their name, because I don't want to, unless that is a surname, which I don't, It could be a surname. I have no idea what kind of name that would be. But Jammer, if I just said your surname on the air, I do apologise, dude, but I'm hoping that that's a username. Anyhow, I'm going to try and protect surnames, because you never know, do you guys? Internet's a funny place. There's some stupid people out there who like to steal things, and I don't want to give them any ammunition. So, there are 2 Matthews on this list, so thank you to both the Matthews. We have Gopher, we have Stephen, we have Devon, we have Roman, we have Jackson, we have Guy, we have Second Heartbeat, which I'm assuming is a pseudonym, we have Tobin, Saki, Remy, Seth, Simon, and James. All of those people listed there contributed towards the Empire, and the videos that you're watching right now, if you are, even this video, has been somehow helped by these people. And all the other existing people who watch the videos, who are on the Patreon, things like that, everything comes together to support and make things better, make things go forward, make things strive for that ultimate performance. And it's amazing, guys. I want to thank you all collectively. I'm highlighting these people because I think it's important to show that they've took that extra step, because as I've mentioned earlier when I'm trying to explain this, you don't have to, and that's what makes it all the better when people choose to. Some of these people gave ridiculous amounts. It's not about the amount, but at times you have to kind of say, Jesus Christ, dude, you're insane. And the people who did know who they are, and you are insane, and I love you, and I wish sometimes they came with a message, but oftentimes they don't. And it puts a lot of faith in me to put it towards something great. And as much as I'd love to tell you it's all going on hookers and blackjacks, it's really not. But Patreon perks and things like that, for the people who get access to the unlisted playlists, it's generally going to be existing projects that are happening right now that you're going to get access to. When the new games come out, depending on what they are, you will see some more of that, but it's just going to be the same old at the moment. It's a little slower because of the longer playlists, but you're still going to get access to earlier things, and hopefully that'll still appease those people that choose to pledge that amount. The people who have requested projects, I still remember the ones I haven't done because I'm still waiting on getting access to the games, which is namely 2, which is Shadow of the Colossus, which I tried to find my actual PS2 version the other day, but it's at the bottom of this massive stack of stuff, and it's like Jenga. You move one, your house falls down. It's ridiculous. So I'm probably going to get it on an emulator, and I'm going to do it via the emulator because I think that'll just be the easiest way to do it at the moment. And I'm going to cover that for the person who requested it. Love that game, amazing game, should be a fun video. And then the other one is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which I've had a little bit of difficulties getting, but I think I'm just going to buy it because it's probably going to be the easiest way at the moment. I thought I could get it in a very specific way, and it just didn't seem to work out. And I'm a big fan of Castlevania games. I'm not really hungry to play them at the moment, but I was the guy who got all the DS ones, all the Game Boy ones, sorry, because Game Boy Advance, wasn't it? The kind of the golden age of the Game Boy Castlevanias. You had the Circle of the Moon, was it Harmony of Dissonance or something like that? A couple of those different ones, Aria of Sorrow. I played a whole bunch of those, really great games as well. Very difficult, that first one, Circle of the Moon. Jesus Christ, that is a hard game. I'll never forget that one. But one of the things here, folks, is I never forget these kind of obligations. It's just a case of getting either distracted or not being able to get access to them. And I apologise that I haven't been able to do them sooner, but I will not forget, and I will not do them, because that's just not how I am. There's a measure of integrity I like to adhere to, and hopefully I'll be able to cover it for those folks, and I hope you can understand. If you don't, feel free to insult me or tell me off or whatever, and I will try and do my best to apologise and explain my reasoning. But now that that's been covered, we can pop the Patreon stuff aside. If you're curious as to what Patreon is, I'm sure you can Google it, things like that. You can even go to the website and watch the little video to explain it. It's essentially the equivalent of tipping a performer, just on a bit more safer of an environment, and you probably won't get mugged by vandals or youths. And it's a great service to help people be creative in a world where creativity is only really inspired when it can be monetized, which is unfortunate, but it's the culture that we are. So let's talk about the channel. As you know, Fallout 4 is stampeding away in your sub box. It's doing its own thing, and I haven't been really able at the moment to intersperse anything too interesting with it because I've just been swamped with a lot of different things. Fallout 4 is all recorded. Finished it about a week ago, maybe longer in fact. Ended a bit sooner than I expected. And I didn't, you know, go back on saves and see all the different endings, because that's not the playthrough I wanted to make. I wanted to do that, don't get me wrong, but I also wanted to commit to the choices, so that's exactly what I've done. The playthrough itself is going to be over 100 parts. It kind of speeds up towards the end, because I realised that the game has this feature called a Radiant Quest system, which means that these quests are essentially just endlessly spawning repeatable actions that enable you to play the game forever if you want to do that. However, the game is not transparent with this, so I spent a large portion of the early playthrough doing these missions thinking I was progressing something, and I wasn't, because I didn't realise that's how it worked. So towards the end, I try and compensate a little bit for that lapse by doing main missions, and I end up doing a ton of main missions, and I don't really see any other side missions, so I go on this roller coaster journey of main missions, and before you know it, I beat the game. And I really didn't think I was as close to beating it as I was. I thought there was going to be another twist, and I thought there was going to be another extension, and there wasn't. I just, ending, credits, all that kind of thing. It kind of shook me up. But it also leaves it open for a possible post-Fallout 4 footage. But I want to wait to see if people actually want it, because at this moment in time, Fallout is a long playthrough. It is a selective game that some people like, some people don't, and the performance on the channel at the moment is kind of the same kind of performance that all the playthroughs do, that I put up. They don't have the strongest numbers, but the people that do show up are invested, and they really enjoy the journey. So I just want to wait and give it a little breath to see whether or not we do any more, because I love Fallout 4, it's a great game. It truly is. My lust for it got a little derailed by Bloodborne DLC, but I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So that's the Fallout 4 stuff. Lots of it's going to be coming, guys. I've edited up to about 90 parts worth, which I'm uploading every day. The problem with this is the videos are so long, and because I'm recording them in high quality, because I've got them rendered at 60 frames per second even though it's only 30, the file sizes take a while to upload. But it's less about the file size and the quality, and more about my crappy internet, which we're going to talk about later as well. So, somebody was asking me, you know, why do I do 60 on games that are capped at 30? Well, it's the preset that I edit with, and I just think it's a better way of doing it, because the file sizes between 30 and 60 on the final render are comparable. Like, it doesn't make it that much more unrealistic size-wise, and a lot of games fluctuate back and forth, so you can get some benefits from that, even though, you know, 30 is definitely not the most interesting to watch when it comes to just how smooth 60 looks. But I'm not going to get too much into that. Also, it's easier for my convenience, because I use the same preset. I have to change my preset, and it doesn't take long, but it's one of those things where I use old files to start new files, because I know the guaranteed settings that will work, and it could cock block a 60 frames per second game with 30 frames per second presets, because I'm in a rush. I've got a lot of different things happening at the same time, a lot of plates being juggled, and it ends up biting me in the bum. So I'm adhering to it simply because it's the easiest and it's the fastest way to get things done. So if you were wondering, that there is hopefully an answer. Tomb Raider, which is probably a question that a few people have had on their lips but haven't asked. I bought Tomb Raider 3 days before it came out, because I got hooked up thanks to a vendor in a village. I say village, it's a city that's like an hour away from me, who breaks street date. So I've had this game for a while. I haven't even opened it, and it sucks to say that because I was doing so well, but it's true. I was playing like 3 games a week, making walkthroughs. I ended up making something like 12 walkthroughs in the space of a month and a half. It was absolutely ridiculous, but I was doing it, and I was focused, and I was able to just distance myself from what I wanted to do what I had to do, because I try to approach this as professionally as I can, because I think if you do that and you aspire to that higher level, you'll be able to take it further and you'll have a better product at the end of it. And then Fallout 4 happened, and I couldn't pull myself away from it. I had absolutely no urge or pull or inspiration to play the new Tomb Raider, even though it looks like a fantastic game and I can't wait to play it, only I kind of can. And now I'm in a position where I can play it, and there's other things vying for my time. So as much as I realise I've missed an opportunity because I really should have got on it, it's still coming, guys. It's just going to be a little late because I can't get to it. There's too many things that I want to play, and I've just had a moment of weakness that I'm going to try and hopefully get past. The next one is The Witcher 3 DLC. I bought this a little late. I'm still going to do it, guys. It's just going to be not quite as punctual as the original playthrough. It will be on Deathmarch, it'll have a heavy emphasis on Gwent, it'll be my Witcher 3 playthrough stuff, just extended into this new content. So look forward to that. I'll probably have it leapfrogging with Fallout when I record it, because I'm probably going to try and do that after this, or maybe tomorrow. So it's definitely coming, guys, and I know the people who enjoyed the playthrough are going to enjoy that, and it's not the biggest numbers, and because when you search, Witcher 3 in the search engine, you're not going to find me. So being first and being fast with that DLC is not as important as it is for somebody who is going to get found. So I'm not too bummed out about that. The next thing is Bloodborne. Bloodborne's another reason why I didn't touch Tomb Raider and the reason why I fell out of love with Fallout 4. Started doing the blind playthrough for the Bloodborne DLC. All I wanted to do was play Fallout. I was not in the right mood at all. You can't even see the videos when I was feeling that way because they got lost, unfortunately, but it didn't come across in the commentary because I was having a good time and I was playing it. I just didn't want to be doing it. And it didn't mean that I wasn't having fun. I'm not one of those people that can force myself to do something that I don't like unless I'm being paid. That's the only distinction for me. Or unless it's to do with somebody that I feel for and their feelings. Everything else, I'm just like, fuck this, I'd rather do something else. But I soldiered on, and then I got the bug again. Bloodborne got me in its grasp, the blood. I burnt the blood, and boom, I was scourged up. And I was like that for a long time, so much so I ended up buying a month of PlayStation Plus just so I could use the Chalice codes and eventually do some PvP, and then I tried to do some PvP and I couldn't get any traffic, which is hilarious. So instead, I spent a very long time in the Chalice dungeons using the codes, because you can't do that without a gold subscription, which is fucking stupid, dude. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, why don't they have the silver and gold that Microsoft used to have, or still has? I'm not even sure, I've been gold for so long, because then you could still do online stuff, you just couldn't do the competitive online stuff. On that, I can't even play the game online without a PlayStation Plus Gold account thing. It doesn't let you even go online. And if it could, it might have not been able to do co-op and things, but I might have been able to use the codes, but that's just not how that system works. And I think it's disgusting, because if you don't know, guys, those Chalice codes take no resources. You can do them indefinitely. Once you've unlocked the preset, you can do them without anything. You don't even have to pay for them. You just open them and do them. Whereas without that, which is the only Chalice dungeons I've ever known, you've got to get all the resources, all the blood echoes, and do them again every time you do them. Which involves getting red jelly, which is rare as fuck when you're trying to farm it from dungeons at times. Ritual blood 4 and 5s, tomb mold number 5, living strings and stuff. And in the game's defense, they've made it a little easier because you can get it from the fountain with insight, but you can't get all of it. So you have to farm like fucking depth 5 bullshit all the time. Farm the madmen, because everybody loves farming the fucking madmen. It's a horrendous experience, and these codes make everything beautiful. But you can't use them unless you pay for PlayStation's fucking subscription, which shouldn't exist, because it used to be free, and that was awesome, and now it's less awesome for me. So, I've been doing a lot of that, and my goal was to farm a casual Ray gem, but I didn't manage to do it. I got one that is, I think, 34.5 at full life, one of the Cursed Fool's gems, and I must have farmed for 4 days. I've got 3 that were amazing boosts, but all of them were -9 on your fucking HP, so you can't even maintain them. Horrendous luck. Because if you've never done this farming, the Cursed, Rotted, Fetid, Thumerian, Ihil, however the hell you pronounce that last thing, the Watcher boss farming, where you just keep looping that first boss and beating it, getting the drop, beating it, getting the drop, and doing that, I would compare it to worse than Pure Bladestone from Demon Souls. Because in my experience on Demon Souls, I have had 2 drops of Pure Bladestones, and I have tried to farm these gems longer than I farmed both of those in Demon Souls, and I've only had 1 drop. Because this is the luck that you're looking at here. I saw on the list, somebody said it's 1 in 20 chance. You fucking drunk. It's way worse than that. 1 in 20 chance to get a Cursed Fool's gem, and then it's 1 in bloody 20 chance again to get one with a good effect. Because the problem is, these bosses drop every single different type of gem. The most common ones are the boost physical type things, the tempering ones. But they can also do Adept, they can do all that like, they can do elemental, they can do wanings every so often, they can do the triangle ones just to piss you off, they do the ones that focus on arcane, they do like every single different kind of gem you can even think exists. So not only are you wanting to get a tier 6, level 19 cursed fool's gem, but then you have to get one that doesn't have a bad effect, like minus attack power, like minus HP over time, all that kind of bullshit. And it's horrible. I've been watching films while farming over the period of a week when I was rendering stuff or uploading stuff or whatever I was doing when I got a moment. Like, me and my girlfriend have been watching a lot of American MasterChef, which I think they designed that program for people with dementia, because every time there's a fucking break, it's like, this is exactly what happened in the last 5 minutes of this show, again! Like, we just watched this, Jesus Christ, if they took out all the bullshit hyperbole and repeated nonsense, that show would be 5 minutes long. But while we watch that, I have no volume on Bloodborne, and I'm farming. And it's like, I've just had no luck, guys, at all, and it's really just, it's brutal, it's truly brutal. But Bloodborne walkthrough is still coming, guys. It's just being spaced. I'm going to give you a couple more because it's been a while. I have got a little lazy on unlisting it. The final part of the walkthrough is coming as well, and I'm probably going to start working on doing a special project with it, but I don't know how long it'll take, and I don't want to say it's going to come here because I can't guarantee that with a lot of things that are happening. So all you should know is that Bloodborne is going to be a feature moving forward, as always, hopefully, and I will probably never get those gems that I would like to get, and because there's no duplication glitches, I can't get one really good one and dupe it, which is frustrating, but I would totally do that, because fuck farming, dude. It's the worst in the world. Nobody wants to farm unless you're a farmer. So the next one's God Hand. The God Hand playthrough just needs to be recorded. The only reason I've been putting it off and you haven't been seeing it is because the file sizes is very big, and at this moment in time I'm trying to clear out my hard drive, and that's the only reason, guys. It's going to continue. It'll show up sooner rather than later, and hopefully everybody will get back into it, because it's a great game, and it's a lot of fun. Birth by Sleep. Aqua's walkthrough is coming very slowly, albeit it is coming. Should be able to get a few more of those to you soon, and then after that there's going to be Terrors, which is all edited, just need to commentate it. I've been trying to space it out in hopes of getting a release date for Kingdom Hearts 2.8, but they're still showing trailers and not telling release dates, which is really frustrating. So I really like Kingdom Hearts games, but they don't perform that great on the channel. Doesn't stop me from doing them because I love them. It's just one of those things where other things will take priority, which is, one of the reasons why The Wonderful 101 isn't on my channel every day, because I try and space it so that when I do put it up, there's a new influx of viewers. And hopefully some people discover it and find out what a magnificent game it is. But lastly is Yakuza, or Yakuza, however you want to say it. This is a series I've never played before, and I decided to try the gameplay out, so I got Yakuza 2 on an emulator, and I beat it. And you might be like, wow, that must have took a long time, and it did. It took me 20 hours to beat this game, and I was skipping cutscenes. And if you don't know, Yakuza is a game 90% cutscenes. Like, this is a game, it's essentially a Japanese mafia soap opera, that's what it is. And you can compare it to things like GTA, which I think is kind of a simplification, but if you want to be crass like that, I would say it is a GTA-esque game that focuses on Japanese culture, but it doesn't have driving, and it has combat that's surprisingly decent for this kind of game. And I really like it. I didn't think I would. And that's without any investment from the story, which I'm going to go back and do, but for this, for the purposes of the playthrough, I just wanted to get an idea of what it was, and running around the towns in Kamurocho, I was doing all the, trying to do the side quests and talking to people and doing all the mini games and things, and it's kind of like the RPG character action game that I would like to make, but super Japanesey and all, Yakuza based. So there's a lot there to really enjoy, and there's a lot there to love, and this is a series that has kind of stuck to its roots, and there's a lot of games. The only problem is they don't get localized very well, so we're always behind them. For instance, Yakuza 5 came out on, is it the 8th of December? That game came out like 2013 in Japan. So that was a game competing with the likes of Assassin's Creed 3. Yet we've just got it. That's how behind we are. And that game, I purchased it. It took me about 20 hours to download the fucking thing on the PS3, and I had to delete half my hard drive, even though the game is only like 23 gig, yet I needed to have like 80 gig to download it. What the fuck's that about? Madness. Worst console ever built. Hate it. But I managed to pick it up, and I'm playing it currently. But the problem is I can't show you any of it, because the HDCP on the fucking PS3 is just evil. And I had no issue with this before, because I used to record with the old PVR1, which was Component. And if you don't know what Component is, it's essentially the yellow, red, and white cables. And then on the other side there's like the fucking weird blue, weird green, and what have you. It's instead of HDMI, which is better quality, it's the inferior version of quality, and it doesn't have any HDCP problems at all, because it somehow gets around it. So I never experienced the nastiness of this technology, which is essentially protection on a signal. And if you don't play games and you somehow listen to this channel, which would be bizarre, but you know, whatever, it's a reason why you can't record box office things on Sky or on these restricted channels on your TV, because there is a difference in the signal that they send out that protects it from being recorded, and it just scrambles it, and that's what it does. It's a scrambler. So I had never had any issue. Recorded the PS3 for years, never had a single issue. Now I've upgraded to HDMI and a capture card that's more advanced. Now I'm having issues, and I did a little looking online to see how you get around it, and everybody's saying, you know, use these splitters. So I looked at a bunch of splitters, and there's a wide differential between expensive ones and cheap ones. And me, I'm fucking cheap. If I can get a cheap one that's going to work, I'll go for it. If it's something that's really important, I generally like to pay more for the quality, but all this is doing is splitting a signal. You know, it's something that you can use to extend a cable. One wouldn't think you'd have to pay out your ass for this, unless you want, you know, some kind of super crazy, non-compressed quality. And if it derps the quality a little bit, it doesn't bother me too much, because YouTube does that, rendering does that, it's already compressed to tits anyway. You know, it's just the way that it is. So I paid £7, which is, give or take, about like $12 or something, maybe a bit more with a shitty conversion rate. And I bought this thing. It's got like 4 slots on it. I plug it in, I get black screen, no picture. Mess around a bit more, I get picture, but capture card ain't picking anything up. Mess around a bit more, just nothing's going, nothing's working, nothing's happening. So I disconnect the PVR2, I put the Elgato back on, HD60, you know, meant to be the best capture card in the world. I think it's a bag of dicks. Nothing, same thing. Tried every single different kind of cable coordination in this, all the different configurations, and then I tried different HDMI cables, and the only thing I can think of is this particular splitter does not scramble the HDCP signal, so I'm going to have to get a different one now. And I've been looking on Amazon at the comments, you know, to see people saying things, and there's one of them that says, oh yes, it scrambles the signal. There's another guy beneath him saying it doesn't scramble the signal. Like, there's absolutely no real information on this, because I don't think scrambling the HDCP signal is something they can advertise, because it's technically a breach of some kind of law or something. I don't really know. So I'm trying to find one that's not too expensive that I can buy, so that I can get some of this to you, because these games are fantastic and I really want them on my channel. I really want to share them, and I've got a bunch of them now. I ended up picking up Yakuza 4 and Yakuza 3 for about £9, both of them. You know, really cheap, and these games have got a lot of replayability and they're really fun. And I would love to do like an EX hard difficulty walkthrough where I trim out all the superfluous nonsense, I show you quick paths through the missions, and I show you, you know, some strategies for the fighting. But I can't. And at the moment in time, all I want to do is play Yakuza. And it's this weird thing of, I can't record it, I can't show it, so I'm playing something that doesn't, you know, go towards YouTube and doesn't help differentiate the stuff that's on the channel. So the reason right now that it's like this torrent of fallout is literally just because of all these things combining together, and I do apologise for that, guys. I am going to try and work on it, and as soon as I can get, you know, the capture ability, that's exactly what we'll do. But PlayStation 3 is a piece of shit. I hate it. I always have, I always will. Compared to the PS1, PS2, PS4, it's horrible. You know, it's this console where they did everything wrong except for the free online, and then now they fucked that up. So it's really confusing. And ironically, and rather amazingly, PlayStation 4 has HDCP, but you don't have to buy a splitter to record that machine, because you go in the options and you can turn it off. You know, they fixed the problem. It's amazing. So when, you know, the new Yakuza comes out, or the Yakuza, is it Kiwami or something, which is a remake, I believe, of Yakuza 1, apparently that's landing in January. I'm going to import it, because it's for the PS4, which is region-free, and it's going to be hilarious, because it's all in Japanese except for the subtitles of the cutscenes. So all the menus, all that kind of stuff, Japanese. We're going to literally have a lost in translation playthrough. And the good news is, I have Yakuza 1 on emulator, so I can play that to know where to go, and then I can go and translate it into the game, and we can hopefully stumble our way through it. And it could be really fun. It could be super frustrating and dumb, I don't know. But, you know, it could be great. And we know we'll not have any problems with recording that, because the PlayStation 4 is such a better console. But that's kind of where all that stands. There's going to be some Arkham Knight footage coming to the channel very shortly. I did both the Catwoman DLC and the new Robin DLC, both pretty short. And tomorrow, which is the 22nd of December, Seasons of Infamy starts. I have no idea how good this is going to be, but they've been bigging it up, and I think it's the final part of the DLC, so the Season Pass. So I'm going to be covering that as well, and hopefully you'll be with me for that, because I really like Arkham Knight, and I've liked pieces of DLC, and it seems right now it's very cool to bang on this game and shit on this game, when, aside from all the horrendous, controversial problems with the game, it's still probably the best Arkham game ever made. For function, for mechanics, for what you can do. And regardless of how you feel about the driving, I'm talking about the game when you're not driving. The driving is this contested issue. I don't mind it. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. The stuff that you do, which is the Batman stuff, is tighter, is more expanded, and more interesting than it's ever been. It looks better, it runs better. All these people that are shitting on it and saying it's worse are people who are too ignorant to appreciate the improvements. Straight up. So if you're on the fence about going near this game because of all this backlash it's getting, it's trendy now to shit on this game. And I don't know why. I can appreciate you don't like driving. I don't like fucking driving, but I don't shit on GTA because it's all fucking driving, you know? It's bizarre that people would just completely count it out for those reasons. And the people that haven't played it who are bitching about it, like, that doesn't make any sense to me either, because unless you're doing it for effect, to be, either a troll or to make somebody laugh or to, for the hyperbole, what's the point? You can't be a judge of something unless you've played it. Once again, unless you're trying to get a response or reaction from people. And I've been on a ton of forums of people who have not even touched it and are just banging on it, and it just seems really bizarre to me, and I don't get that at all. Like, as gamers, we should reward good and criticise bad. That's how it's meant to be. We can't just take one issue and override everything else with it, because that's not fair. It's not fair on Rocksteady, it's not fair on the game. Like, Arkham Knight has legitimate problems that should be outlined and addressed. But it being a piece of shit isn't one of them, because it's not. I don't think it's Game of the Year at all. But I could put it on now and play it and enjoy it and think it's a fantastic game. And I want to play it. And there are a lot of games I've played this year that I don't want to play. So I think it speaks volumes for me personally, and I think if you give it a try, you might surprise yourself. It's so easy to hate something that you haven't really given a try. And I know this all over because there's tons of games that I've done that with, and I'm trying to improve that in myself. And these forums can get you really frustrated, so you've got to take it all with a pinch of salt. But the final part of the update now, guys, is going to be an outlining of my plans for 2016, because the channel is going to change in some ways. Nothing too drastic, just focus change. And I want to outline it here just in case I don't make another update for 6 months. So the first thing that is going to be happening is there's going to be less focus on playthroughs. So 2015 was me focusing on playthroughs over walkthroughs to try and diversify both my audience and my content. Bringing new blood, bringing a different perspective. I really enjoyed the playthroughs. I got a lot of feedback from people. It went down quite well. I want to mix it up again. That doesn't mean there's not going to be playthroughs, there's just going to be less, and they're going to be select. So, walkthroughs are a continual on my channel. I am a walkthrough maker, it's what I like to do. So walkthroughs will still be the focus, playthroughs will be a reduced focus now. It might be 1 or 2 a year. Maybe more, it all depends on the game. For me, it has to be a beautiful cocktail of things for it to be a good playthrough. Certain games, most games can work, but you have to have that thing that makes it really stand out. Like for me, a standout playthrough of mine was Hotline Miami 2, even though it completely failed from a YouTube perspective, and I got all content ID flags, and I had a horrendous time getting it to you. But the content that was there, I had nothing but praise for a lot of it. People were really enjoying the silliness of it. People were really enjoying like the frenetic, constant pace of it. It was just kind of a bender of silliness, and people really enjoyed it. That probably wouldn't have worked on a different kind of game. So I'm just going to be a little bit more selective with them, and I'm going to think about how I can approach that to do it properly, to do it justice. And instead, the new focus of this year is going to be towards reviews and individual videos of maybe higher production. I've got a couple things I'm working on at the moment that are going to be slightly higher production, and if you don't really know what that means, it's essentially taking more time with it to give it something that makes it stand out. So a lot of my videos are edited, they're commentated over, they're of a quality that's pretty much the highest I can make it at the moment. There are issues with them, but they're slight niggles that are very situational and environmental based. For the most, I've got myself to an area of quality now that I'm comfortable with, that I think it can compete on any standards against anybody. So I'm happy with that. There are only a few steps to take from that to go in a new direction. One of them is to make it more unique. There are a million ways to make something more unique because it's inherently personal what you decide to do. And then in another way, which is similar to this, you can make things to focus on more creative rather than, say, mechanical or informational. For instance, in a walkthrough, I'm showing you how to beat something, trimming out the cutscenes, trimming out the deaths, and it's just this linear sequence of successes. Inside of that, you could have moments of flair. For instance, if you've ever seen my Souls walkthroughs, or my Bloodborne walkthrough at the moment, where I've done almost expositional introductions using footage from the game and editing it together to put kind of like an establishing shot on what's going to happen in the video. Think like that, but unique to games and unique to certain situations. For instance, at the moment I'm making a boss analysis video, and I've done this in the past, but never in the way that I'm doing it now. I've actually written a script for it. Normally, when you hear me speak, it's completely off the cuff. I don't really think about what I'm going to say. I hit record and I just leave it to the wind. We see where we go. And it works for me because it's one of those things that turns out I'm pretty good at doing it, and turns out that a lot of people seem to think it's fun to listen to and what have you. A script is very different, and it enables me to do different things. And immediately when I script something, it changes the way I look at it, it changes the way I edit it. Because you can edit to the script, you can change the music to meet certain parts of the script, and it just all adds this extra production value. And what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to try and do something for the stuff that enables me to, and not all games do, but the games that do, I'm definitely going to try and keep on top of it, and just try and make it stand out in some ways, because I've done what everybody else has done. I've put my own slant on it. I've tried different aspects of it, different avenues of it. Now I want to try and really do something that only I can do. And I don't know how successful this will be, because it relies heavily on my creative ability to use things. A good example of this would be Uncharted Collection and Batman Arkham Knight. Both of these games have this feature called photo mode, which I got super excited for, and then I started messing with it, and it's horrendous. When I say horrendous, does that mean you can't do good things with it? No. There will be people that can do great things with it, but they're not me. I don't want to make photos. I want to be able to move, and that's the difference. To me, I want moving image. So these photo modes are great, but they're all static. Like the Arkham Knight one even has a fucking Arkham symbol watermark on it constantly, and you can't seem to turn it off. You turn the hood off, it's still there. And I didn't experiment with it too much because this controls like shit. I can't do anything fancy with this. I mean, sure, you can get some nice shots, but I don't want to have like a montage of pictures. To me, that just doesn't work in a video unless it's a very specific type of thing. So these games give you these creative outlets, and then they gimp you with how you can use them. And it's really sad, and I would compare it to something like theatre mode in COD. Say what you want about COD, theatre mode is beautiful. My only criticism of it is you can't use enough of it. To me, you should be able to play the campaign, and then afterwards it should make that a full recording, and you can play it back and you can ghost cam wherever you want to go and make machinima movies of your campaign progress. Like, can you imagine if I took a playthrough that I made where I was doing, you know, crazy jump shots and 360s or whatever, or drop shots, and diving through fire and throwing crazy grenades and doing all kinds of, you know, fancy looking stuff, playing the game with an eye for composition and with an eye for cinematic action, with cars blowing up and me strafing through clouds and sparks going everywhere. And then imagine going in with a ghost cam and essentially turning it into some kind of mini film. How cool would that be? It'd be great. And then you could combine that with actual gameplay elements and make a guide that has cinematic moments to it, or make some kind of other feature. A very long time ago, I made a parry series for Dark Souls, and I went into Photoshop and I did a load of plates that were all designed, dropped them into Premiere, and I would have it where I did introductions to the enemies, and then I brought the statistics up and things like that. I was using images, I was compositing stuff, and it wasn't as in-depth or as you know, balls to the wall as I could have made it, but it was kind of simple and it was kind of nice. And then of course it got no views, and it was one of those things where I was putting my heart and soul into doing it, and nobody could see it, you know, nobody could find it. So it can be very demoralizing when you create something that you believe in and it doesn't get found. But that was an example of me taking that and doing something that elevates it above, you know, the rest of what people were doing. And that's the inspiration for this focus. Doesn't mean that there's going to be less videos or no walkthroughs or anything like that. I will never be a person who hides behind one video a week. I'll never be that guy. I can't be that guy. To me, if you're a creative person and you're only doing one creative thing a week, what the hell are you doing it for? Like, what are you doing with the rest of your week? Unless you spending that entire time like writing, directing, you know, doing reconnoiters and buying props and stuff. Unless you're doing that, what are you doing? You know, like, to me, I'd feel like that would be too lazy. Like I'm just doing it for the money, and I'm getting paid too much to be doing too little, and I'd feel bad. I'd feel guilty, because that's just the kind of person I am. But I just want to try and have, you know, high quality walkthroughs, and then special videos that stand out, supplemented in between them. And I think reviews are definitely a good direction for this, and I think, you know, other kind of features will do well as well, because I want it to kind of be something that is literally a sellable product. I want it to be something that if somebody sees it, they're like, shit, this is interesting, and this is worth looking into. And hopefully, you know, it'll work out well. I guess we'll see. You'll be the judge of it, and I will, where this avenue takes us, see where this adventure goes, and hopefully it'll be great. But that's pretty much it for the channel update, guys. Long time coming, but hopefully worth it. Some information out there that you might not have been aware of. Some of it you might have liked, some of it you might have not liked. Feel free to let me know in the comments. But thank you as always, just for sticking around, just for watching. Everything you do helps this channel. If you thumb up the video, it helps this channel. If you thumb it down, it helps this channel. Everything. If you watch all of it, it helps. If you comment, it helps. It's all about that user interaction, that viewer retention. And if you're showing interest in the videos, if you're sticking around to watch them, and if you're doing things to them, like some kind of perverted video doer, you're all helping. And there are no words to express the gratitude for somebody who puts time into making something, and then you put time into watching that thing that said person has made. It's poetry, guys. It's what it is. So thank you all, and as always, you take care now.